Hey guys, have you watched my last webview on the New York to Scranton Express rail link? Well, this webview is similar. It's from another big city to another smaller but yet important city to a region. This is another high speed diesel rail link from Boston to Manchester. The distance of 56 miles is covered in 41 minutes, including stops, and the top speed is 125 miles per hour. The line includes a stop at Boston, Route 128 in Burlington, Lowell, Nashua, Manchester Airport, and Manchester City. Let's start in Boston. The line will start at Boston North Station and it'll exit Boston just exactly how the current Lowell line does. Once it gets into the straightaway, though, speeds will increase to 125 miles per hour using tilting diesel trains. Now, this is mostly a dual track line, but I think it will be able to accommodate 125 mile per hour trains if a couple sections of three tracks are created, for example, where there's space. Because as you can see here, there's not any space, so I think two tracks will be fine right here. So probably like here, for example, this clearing here, a third track can be made to parallel the two existing tracks. So at a speed of 125 miles per hour, the line continues through like just basically through the northern Boston suburbs. It won't make any stops until Burlington, right here, Anderson Transportation Center. This is an important place. It is relatively close to Route 128. I was thinking of having the station here, like closer to Route 128 where the current Mishawam station is, but I think the Anderson Transportation Center already has a facilities for such a transportation hub, as you can see right here. So there's no point in wasting money in building another station. It's also close to Route 128, Route 93, and a lot of nearby businesses are here. So if you're commuting, especially from the north, you don't have to be going all the way to Boston to you make this line work. It'll work if you have this pattern as well. Now continuing along the Lowell line, 125 miles per hour most of the time, continues through the suburbs. Now, probably right here, it'll decrease to probably even 90. I think 90 miles per hour with tilting technology will work along these curves near Tewksbury. But then before you know it, you're outside Route 495 and you're at Lowell Station. This distance of 25 miles only took 15 minutes, including the stop. That's pretty good. And that distance it takes probably 45 minutes using current MBTA rails. So you saved yourself almost two-thirds of your travel time by just upgrading this line slightly to support 125 mile per hour trains and just introducing the trains. This is not as expensive as even the New York to Scranton one. Now here is where things get interesting. This is the end of the line right here. However, the tracks go all the way to Concord, New Hampshire, and I made this line go to Manchester, which is right on the existing line. Now there's Nashua and Manchester. Those both have more than 100,000 people living in them. Probably like 300, 400,000 people live in that region of New Hampshire. Why do they not have railway service? I have no clue. Now, there have been some proposals to add railway service to that area, but it's probably going to be slow unless if a change is made. So I'll tell you why I'm making this high speed. There's a big psychological difference in traveling this from place to place in a much less time. Sure, if you make it slightly higher, if you make it probably like an hour versus like 1 hour and 10 minutes in traffic, that's fine, but you need to realize you have to drive to the station and park and wait for the train. It has to be a lot faster. And what I've realized is that when a certain speed is reached, probably like a start stop average of around 100 miles per hour, a lot of more people will use a railway service simply because it is faster. People want to get from point A to point B in the shortest amount of time. So that's why I'm setting the speeds as they are. It may need some slightly more improvements to the line, but it'll be worth it in the end. So as the line enters Lowell, it continues west, and this is full 125 mile per hour running until it's like this curve right here. Now, as it enters the New Hampshire border, it'll have to drop to around 90 miles per hour, but that'll be doable. And then it'll increase to 125 again when we enter New Hampshire. Already, believe it or not, you're in New Hampshire. And a couple miles later, and actually, yeah, 32 minutes later, you are in Nashua. Not 32 actually. I think I calculated that. Sorry, I calculated the wrong. It's actually 26 minutes. 32 minutes is for the next stop. But Nashua, more than 100,000 people live here. 32 minutes or 26 minutes from Boston. Why not use a train? It's also not that expensive to upgrade, and lots of nearby people. It's also pretty dense, so I could see people coming from all directions to the station. The line will continue next to the river at a speed of 125 miles per hour, and at a time of 32 minutes you are at Manchester Airport, which is also important because not only is there the airport, but there are also a lot of business complexes here. It's like around midway between Nashua and Manchester, as you can see right here. So many people from this entire area commute right here for their jobs. Not to mention, you could take a flight out of here and not worry about going all the way to Boston, even though this line goes all the way there. After that, the line will have to slow down quite a bit. It'll probably reach 100 miles per hour in this section right here in the southern outskirts of Manchester, but then it slows down and you're in downtown Manchester, right, where a lot of business development is currently happening. Manchester is already going through a downtown renaissance, and I believe adding a train station here with a high speed link to Boston will only improve that. So 41 minutes from Manchester to Boston. A top speed of 125 miles per hour, travel time 41 minutes, which is considerably less than an hour of driving. I think if it's like 20, 30 minutes shorter, many people will start using the train. They don't have to pay for fuel, and it'll also probably be time saving if they take the train rather than having to wait in traffic, especially as they enter Boston. Not to mention that you don't have to go directly from Manchester to Boston to use this line. As we saw in the last video from New York to Scranton, stops in between the two cities have a big impact on the ridership of the line because not everybody goes from point A to point B. Some people go from point A to point A.2 or point A to point B minus 0.3, something like that. So here's a final line. Very little upgrading to be done. Main thing is just to upgrade the line and some curve straightening. Although I don't think this line needs that much. It's not a full high-speed line, but nevertheless, it's a quick express link. And also tilting diesel trains such as the ice-Ts used in Germany can work very well in a line like this. The Ice-T, actually they're Ice-TDs. Ice-T is the electric one, but the Ice-TDs go up to 200 kilometers per hour, which is 125 miles per hour. And the point to those trains was to use existing tracks to the most of their potential. The tracks exist here. They're not being used at all in the northern half of the line. Let's use our infrastructure to the most potential and improve the economy of this entire region of New England. Thank you and goodbye.